Today our gospel reading is kind of like a take your disciple to work day with Jesus. We get to see a full day of ministry and what Jesus does during his day-to-day ministry. We can kind of assume that this is Jesus's normal way of being, his normal way of working throughout his 3 years of public ministry. It says that he goes up a high mountain, which is probably just a big hill in the sea, around the Sea of Galilee, and people bring to him the lame, the blind, the mute, those who can't speak, all of these people who have these physical injuries, and it says that he cures them all. The people are amazed when they see the lame walking, jumping, the blind being able to see, and those who were mute now speaking. And then Jesus, after he has done finally healing all of these people, he's got to be tired himself, but he looks up at this crowd that has gathered and formed over the past day, and they would have had to travel from cities that are around the area, so they've probably been there or on the road for over a whole day. And his heart is moved with pity for them because they don't have anything to eat. And so he commands his disciples to find some food. All they can come up with are these 7 loaves and 2 fish, which Jesus knows is more than enough to feed all of these people. And so we know that there's this multiplication miracle that happens, that Jesus multiplies those loaves and fish, and the people are all fed, they're all satisfied, and there's more left over. We see that our God, Jesus, is a God of abundance. He's not a God of just enough. If that were the case, then Jesus would just barely heal these people, or maybe they would go back to their injury later. And if that were the truth, then Jesus wouldn't have made more than enough of the bread and the fishes and loaves. But God is a God of abundance. We see it in our first reading as well, that it says in the prophet Isaiah, it prophesies that God will provide for his people on this mountain a banquet of rich food and choice wines. And it just goes on to describe those rich foods and choice wines, not just some not so great wine or not so great food, but the best of the best of wine, the best of food. Because God wants to provide for us in the most abundant ways. And sometimes we can get a little, shy to ask for things that we want. Shy to ask for big things from God, for healing of an ailment that we've had for a long time, for years, or for the healing of a loved one who perhaps is in a terminal condition. We don't want to ask God for too much there because we don't want our hopes dashed if it doesn't come true. But God wants us to ask boldly because he is a God of abundance. He wants to show us just how much he loves us. So during this season of Advent, we have to remember that we wait for a God who's not just the God of enough, not just the God who is going to barely provide for our needs. No, but we serve and we wait for the God of abundance.